I was kissing my girlfriend on the sofa. The door swung open, and my sister, the one with the world's most extreme little brother complex, was suddenly home. She stared at us, frozen for a solid 3 seconds, then let out a shriek and launched herself forward, physically prying my girlfriend and me apart. "Isabel Rossi, I thought you were my best friend, not my future sister-in-law." My girlfriend, completely unfazed, wrapped an arm back around my waist and shot back. "What can I say? Your brother's just too charming." Thinking back, it all started the day I moved in. I had just set foot in my sister's upscale house when her best friend mistook me for a burglar and had security beat the hell out of me. After the misunderstanding was cleared up, this same powerful, sophisticated woman pushed me down onto the sofa and patted her long, stocking-clad leg. "Lie down. Let me see the damage. I'll make it better. I can't reach that bump on your head. Come on, lie down. Did I hurt you? I guess you'll just have to find a way to hurt me back. Your sister is going to sell you to me sooner or later anyway. I'll take good care of you. You know, I've been single for a while. Maybe it's time I robbed the cradle." When I stood in front of the modern, minimalist house, dragging my suitcase behind me, this was my sister, Chloe Vance's place, and my home for the next 4 years. My phone buzzed. It was her. "Hey, Ethan, you there? My best friend's out today, so you can just let yourself in. The code is your birthday. Pick any spare room you want." I hung up, breathing a sigh of relief. At least I wouldn't have to deal with a stranger right away. The door clicked open, and as I stepped into the foyer, a light, pleasant fragrance hit me. The house was huge, with tasteful, modern decor that spoke volumes about the owner's eye for design. Humming to myself, I started heading for the stairs to claim a room. That's when a sharp, icy voice cut through the air from behind me. "Don't move." I froze, whipping my head around. Standing in the living room was a woman. She was dressed in a perfectly tailored business suit, tall and radiating an intimidating aura. Even more intimidating were the 4 or 5 security guards behind her, all holding tactical batons. Before I could process anything, the guards rushed forward, surrounding me. The dark batons were pointed right at me. My mind went blank. "Hello, 911. There's a burglar in my house." The woman held her phone to her ear, her voice devoid of any warmth. "White t-shirt, about 6 feet tall. Looks like a student. He might be armed." My brain short-circuited. A burglar? She was talking about me? "Wait, this is a misunderstanding." I blurted out. "Shut it," the head guard barked, jabbing me hard in the back with his baton. A sharp pain shot through my spine, and I cried out. It was a solid hit, with no mercy behind it. "I'm not a burglar. My name is Ethan Vance. I'm Chloe Vance's brother." I covered my head, shouting through the gaps between the blows. Humiliation and pain washed over me. I'd never been treated like a criminal in my life, let alone beaten up for it. "Be careful. Don't let him get away," her voice commanded again. Another baton landed on my shoulder. I curled into a ball, my eyes turning red with a mix of anger and shame. "I told you I'm not. Call Chloe Vance. Call her right now," I roared. Hearing Chloe's name finally made the woman frown. She seemed to hesitate for a moment before dialing a number and putting it on speaker. My sister's cheerful, loud voice immediately filled the room. "Izzy? What's up? Miss me already?" Isabel Rossi's expression soured. "Chloe, is your brother's name Ethan?" "Yeah, I just sent him over. I forgot to tell you." "What's wrong? Did he get lost?" Isabel took a deep breath, her eyes glancing down at me, still crouched on the floor in a defensive ball. "Oh, he found the place. But I thought he was a burglar and called property management." The line went silent for 2 seconds, followed by an earth-shattering explosion of laughter. "Ha ha, Izzy, you ha ha. You actually had my brother beaten up?" The sound of her laughter echoed through the speakerphone in the otherwise silent living room, each peal like a tiny needle against my burning skin. The security guards looked at each other, lowering their batons with deeply awkward expressions. I felt my face flush crimson. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole. It was the definition of social suicide. The misunderstanding was cleared. The guards retreated with sheepish apologies, casting sympathetic looks my way as they left. That left just me and Isabel, staring at each other. The atmosphere was thick with an almost unbearable awkwardness. I'm sorry," she said, breaking the silence. Her voice held a barely perceptible hint of guilt. I gritted my teeth and pushed myself up from the floor, brushing the dust off my clothes. My back was throbbing, and a lump was already forming on my head where a baton had accidentally clipped me. "Your community security doesn't mess around," I said, my tone dripping with resentment. She stepped closer, trying to inspect my injuries. I instinctively took a step back, avoiding her. Her outstretched hand froze in midair, a flash of embarrassment on her face. "Let me see where you're hurt. I'll get you some antiseptic." "I'm fine," I said coldly. She must have felt guilty because she didn't push it. Instead, she turned and retrieved a first aid kit. She then firmly pressed me down onto the sofa, pulling out a cotton swab and disinfectant. "Don't move. This might sting a bit. Deal with it." The cold liquid on my wounds made me wince. She watched my pained expression and sighed. Then, she did something that left me utterly speechless. She patted her own thigh, elegantly sheathed in black nylon. "Lay your head here." I stared, sure I'd misheard her. "What?" A hint of color rose on her cheeks, but her tone was non-negotiable. "You're taller than me. I can't reach that bump on your head. Lie down. Let me take care of it. It'll feel better." My face caught fire, a blush spreading from my cheeks all the way to the tips of my ears. I woke the next morning to aches all over my body. Last night's lap pillow treatment was still vivid in my mind. The woman's leg had been soft, yet firm. Ugh, what was I thinking? She was a psycho. I limped out of my room and headed downstairs. In the kitchen, a striking figure was busy at the stove. Isabel had traded last night's power suit for a set of chic loungewear. A pair of delicate, gold-rimmed glasses rested on her nose, and her long hair was casually tied up. She was focused on frying an egg, her profile softened by the morning light. It was a stark contrast to the ice queen who had calmly called 911 and commanded security guards just hours before. The disconnect left me momentarily speechless. She must have heard me, because she turned her head. She paused when she saw me, then her cool mask slipped back into place. "You're awake? Come have breakfast." On the table was a breakfast fit for a king. A perfectly made sandwich, a sunny-side-up egg, a glass of milk, and a small fruit salad. She pushed a plate toward me, then handed me a bank card. "I'm sorry about last night. This is for damages. Also, Chloe asked me to give you this for your living expenses. The pin is your birthday." Her tone was all business, as if the woman who'd offered her lap as a pillow had never existed. I felt a prick of annoyance, but took the card anyway. "Thanks." The meal was quiet. She ate her sandwich with small, elegant bites, then suddenly spoke up. "Since we're living together, we need to set a few ground rules." I looked up, bracing for a list of demands. "First, you're not allowed to bring strangers home, especially not girls. Second, Chloe's orders, you have to be home by 10 p.m. Third, put your dirty clothes in the hamper in the bathroom, not all over the floor. I'll do the laundry." I listened to her so-called rules, feeling a bit confused. They sounded less like a landlord's terms and more like a dorm RA's checklist. After she finished, she glanced at my forehead. "Does the bump still hurt?" I touched it reflexively and shook my head. Just then, I noticed a tiny detail. For all her feigned composure, the tips of her ears were a faint shade of pink. So, she was embarrassed about the lap pillow incident last night. My irritation vanished, replaced by an urge to laugh. After breakfast, she changed back into a business suit, ready to leave for work. As she reached the door, she paused and came back. She stood in front of me and, without warning, reached out and smoothed down a lock of my hair that was sticking up. Her fingertips were cool, and they brushed against my ear, sending a tiny shiver down my spine. I froze completely. She leaned in close, her warm breath tickling my ear. "You're my little brother now, too," she whispered, her voice laced with amusement. "Your sister sold you to me last night, told me to take good care of you. I have to seize the opportunity. After all, I've been single for a long time. I've never even been in a real relationship. Think about me, okay? And hey, put in a good word with your friends. I'm thinking it's time I robbed the cradle." With that, she straightened up, turned on her heel, and walked out the door, the click of her heels echoing behind her. She left me standing there, my heart pounding like a drum. My face was hot enough to fry an egg on. Was this woman a siren? She was 6 years older than me, but kept teasing me like this. I pressed my hands to my burning cheeks, a sinking feeling in my stomach that the next 4 years of college were going to be anything but peaceful. The first few months of college were more uneventful than I'd expected. That is, until I started running into my high school ex-girlfriend, Tiffany, on campus. She was always hanging off the arm of some slick, rich kid named Chad. He was the one who'd poached my girlfriend of 3 years with a designer handbag. Well, if it isn't Ethan Vance, Tiffany said, her voice dripping with condescension as she clung to Chad. She looked me up and down, her eyes full of smug superiority. Still wearing the same stuff from the discount rack? Is your allowance not cutting it? I could spot you some cash if you need it. My fists clenched, my face turning red. The humiliation of the breakup and the anger of being betrayed came rushing back. Chad wrapped his arm around Tiffany's waist and laughed dismissively. He clicked a key fob, and a blue BMW Z4 parked nearby flashed its lights. "Babe, don't waste your breath on this loser," he said, raising his voice loud enough for passing students to hear. "Still riding a rental scooter? Hey, Ethan, need a lift? My car has 4 wheels. Definitely faster than your 2. A few stifled laughs came from the onlookers. Their words trampled all over my pride. I was shaking with anger, about to fire back, when a fiery red Maserati that had been idling nearby slowly pulled up next to the BMW. The driver's door opened, and a long, slender leg emerged, followed by a 10-centimeter black stiletto. Then, Isabel unfolded herself from the car. She wore a pair of oversized sunglasses that covered half her face and a black power suit that screamed authority. Every eye on the sidewalk immediately shifted from the BMW to her and her even more impressive sports car. She didn't even glance at Chad and Tiffany, walking straight toward me. As everyone watched in stunned silence, she took off her sunglasses, revealing her striking, beautiful face. She reached out with a delicate finger and gently wiped away a crumb from the corner of my mouth that wasn't even there. Her touch was light, but her tone was so intimate it was as if we were the only 2 people in the world. "Ethan, sweetie, I told you to wait for me on campus. Why'd you wander off?" Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried clearly to everyone around us. "Your sister is impossible. She insisted I bring you lunch, said the cafeteria food isn't good for you. She made it herself." She held up a chic, insulated lunchbox. "She also said I was too rough with you yesterday and that I had to make it up to you." She leaned closer, winking, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You're not still mad at me about yesterday, are you?" The implications of her words were massive. The air grew thick and still. Tiffany and Chad's faces looked like they'd just swallowed a bug. Especially Chad. He looked at Isabel's stunning beauty and commanding presence, then back at the conventionally pretty and obviously materialistic Tiffany beside him. His eyes filled with regret and envy. Isabel finally seemed to notice them, giving them a dismissive glance. She didn't say a word, but she pulled the Maserati keys from her purse and tossed them to me. The move was pure, effortless cool. "Here, take it for a spin. I don't feel like driving. You can get on top of things. Get going." She paused, her gaze sweeping over Chad's Z4, a barely concealed smirk on her lips. "Oh, and don't worry about the gas. But don't go racing any riffraff. It's beneath you." With a final, breezy wave, she hailed a passing Uber and was gone, leaving a sidewalk full of shell-shocked students in her wake. I stood there, the cool, heavy keys in my hand, watching the blood drain from Tiffany and Chad's faces. A wave of pure, unadulterated satisfaction washed over me. For after that day, the dynamic between Isabel and me seemed to shift. She was no longer just the intimidating homeowner, and I was no longer the timid guest. We were starting to feel more like actual siblings. One afternoon, class ended, and the sky suddenly opened up in a torrential downpour. I hadn't brought an umbrella and was stranded in the lecture hall. After hesitating, I finally called Isabel. It was her rare day off. "Hello, Izzy. Any chance you could bring me an umbrella?" I could hear the sound of a running shower in the background, followed by her slightly drowsy voice. "I'm in the shower. You'll have to wait. Or you could just make a run for it. It's not that far." Her casual tone stung a little. Right? She wasn't my actual sister. Why should she have to brave a storm for me? "Got it." I hung up, pulled my backpack over my head, and plunged into the rain. By the time I got back to the house, I was soaked to the bone, looking like a drowned rat. Isabel was just stepping out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, her hair still dripping. She saw me and raised an eyebrow. "You actually ran back? Are you an idiot?" Despite her words, she immediately tossed me a dry towel. "Go take a hot shower before you catch a cold." "Oh, and you're making dinner tonight. It's my one day off, and I don't feel like moving." I sighed and agreed. After my shower, my head felt a little fuzzy, but I forced myself into the kitchen. By the time I had dinner on the table, Isabel still hadn't come down. A wave of disappointment washed over me, but I pushed it aside, ate a few bites by myself, and went to my room. Sometime later, I was woken by a frantic knocking on my door. "Ethan? Ethan? Are you okay?" It was Isabel, her voice edged with panic. I tried to sit up, but found my body was burning up and I had no strength. The door flew open. Isabel rushed in and saw my flushed face, and a look of pure panic took over. The cool, collected professional woman was gone, replaced by someone who was completely out of her depth. "How did you get such a high fever?" She rushed over and pressed her hand to my forehead, pulling it back instantly from the heat. She muttered to herself, "Why are you so much trouble? You silly, helpless kid." She ran to the bathroom to get water, but in her haste, she knocked over the basin, soaking herself. She fumbled for the first aid kit, banging her knee on the corner of my desk and hissing in pain. But she ignored it, frantically searching for fever reducer and a thermometer. She clumsily managed to get me to take the medicine, then started wiping me down with a cool, damp cloth to lower my temperature. Her movements were awkward, almost comical. I watched her through a hazy blur, seeing her completely lose her composure for my sake. In my feverish state, my mind drifted back to when I was a kid. My mom used to sit by my bed, just like this, whenever I was sick. I reached out and grabbed her cool hand, pressing it against my burning cheek. Like a small, hurt child, I murmured in a raw, vulnerable voice, "Don't go, Mom. I don't feel good." Her body went rigid. I could feel her gaze on my face, filled with an emotion I couldn't decipher. After a long moment, just when I thought she would pull her hand away, she squeezed mine back. She leaned down, her warm breath caressing my ear, her voice softer than I had ever heard it. "I won't. Mom's right here." 5 When I woke up the next morning, the fever was gone. The first thing I saw was Isabel, asleep in the chair next to my bed, her head resting on the mattress. She was still holding my hand. Her long eyelashes cast soft shadows in the morning light. She looked exhausted, with faint dark circles under her eyes. A pang of guilt hit my chest. Had she really stayed here all night? I tried to gently pull my hand free, but the slight movement woke her. She opened her eyes sleepily, and our gazes met. The air in the room crackled. She snatched her hand back as if she'd been burned, a blush creeping up her neck. "You're awake?" she said, trying to sound composed. She felt my forehead to check my temperature. "The fever's gone." "Good." But the red tips of her ears betrayed her embarrassment. Seeing her like this, I couldn't help but smile. "Isabel, thank you." "Don't mention it." She stood up, smoothing out her rumpled clothes. "That's what big sisters are for, right?" There was again, but this time, her words felt different. To repay her for saving my life, I offered to take her out that weekend. She tried to use work as an excuse, but seeing the hopeful look in my eyes, she caved. That Saturday, we went to an amusement park. Isabel had swapped her usual stilettos and power suits for a simple white t-shirt, jeans, and a pair of white sneakers. She'd pulled her long hair into a high ponytail, making her look young and vibrant. The powerful executive was gone, replaced by a cool girl next door. I found myself staring. "What are you looking at?" "Never seen a beautiful woman before?" she teased, flicking me on the forehead when she caught me staring. I grinned and pointed toward the haunted house. "Hey, let's go in there." Isabel followed my finger, and her face tightened at the sight of the ghoulish decorations. But she puffed out her chest and declared bravely, "Let's go. What's there to be afraid of? I'll protect you." I bit back a laugh and followed her inside. The haunted house was pitch black, filled with eerie music that made my skin crawl. We'd barely taken 2 steps when a fake hanging corpse dropped from the ceiling, landing right in front of Isabel. The same woman who had been so bold a second ago let out a scream that could have shattered glass. "Ah!" She spun around like a startled rabbit and buried herself in my chest. Her body was pressed tightly against mine, her arms wrapped around my waist like an octopus, and she was trembling from head to toe. Her sudden embrace sent my mind reeling, my body stiffening. But mostly I just wanted to laugh. I suppressed my amusement, wrapped my arms around her, and whispered in her ear, "I thought you were going to protect me." Her face was buried in my shirt, and her muffled voice came out. "Shut up. Just get me out of here." I could hear a distinct sob in her voice. So, the fearless Isabel Rossi was afraid of ghosts. The discovery was surprisingly endearing. For the rest of the attraction, I ended up practically carrying a weak-kneed Isabel. She kept her face hidden in my chest the entire time, refusing to look. It wasn't until we were back in the bright sunlight that she finally let go, her face flushed with embarrassment. To get her revenge for my teasing, she bought a cotton candy bigger than her head and shoved it in my mouth, silencing any further commentary. 6 after the amusement park, we went home and had a few drinks. Officially, it was to celebrate my recovery. Unofficially, we both just drank too much. I woke up the next morning in my own bed with a splitting hangover. When I turned my head, I saw Isabel slumped over my bedside, fast asleep. She was using my arm as a pillow, and a tiny, glistening trail of drool was making its way from the corner of her mouth. My arm was numb and tingly. I couldn't help but smile. I tried to carefully slide my arm out from under her, but she stirred and woke up. Our eyes met. She saw the position she was in, looked at the suspicious wet patch on my arm, and her face exploded in a blush. She shot upright, as if electrocuted. "I drank too much last night," she explained, trying to sound nonchalant. "Couldn't find a pillow, so I borrowed your arm." Her ears were so red, they looked like they might catch fire. Seeing her so flustered, I couldn't hold it in any longer. I laughed. Was my arm comfortable? Her face got even redder. She shot me a glare and stood up. "I'm going to make you breakfast." Watching her flee, the smile on my face grew wider. From that day on, the air between us was thick with unspoken feelings. I started waking up half an hour early to make her breakfast, just to see her smile. She would find excuses to get close, like fixing my collar as I was leaving. The space between us was buzzing, a tension waiting to be broken. One evening, Isabel was watching the financial news in the living room. I sat next to her, pretending to scroll through my phone, but my mind was racing, trying to find the right words. After a long silence, I finally worked up the courage. "Izzy, thank you again for the other day." Isabel muted the TV and turned to look at me. Her eyes were playful, searching. "A simple thank you isn't enough. Ethan, how are you planning to repay me?" Her gaze made my heart pound against my ribs. I decided to just go for it. I put down my phone and looked her straight in the eye. "Isabel, I like you, and not in a little brother, big sister kind of way. I want to ask you out. Can I?" My voice was hoarse with nerves, but every word was clear. Isabel was stunned. She clearly hadn't expected me to be so direct. After a few seconds, she smiled. It was a dazzling, brilliant smile like fireworks in the night sky. She crooked a finger at me. "Come here." I didn't know what she was planning, but I obeyed, leaning closer. The moment I was within reach, she moved. She shoved me back against the wall behind the sofa. My back hit the cool surface, and before I could react, she was on me. She wrapped a hand around the back of my neck, pulling my head down. Her soft lips crashed against mine. My mind went completely blank. The kiss was intoxicating, a mix of wine and her own unique scent, both demanding and passionate. When she finally pulled away, I was completely dazed, just staring at her like an idiot. She licked her lips, her eyes dark and intense. "You idiot. Is that any way to confess? All talk, no action." And then she leaned in and kissed me again, harder this time. My first kiss, stolen by the gorgeous woman who lived downstairs. 7. We were official. We started a secret, sweet, underground relationship. With my sister, Chloe, the queen of the little brother complex, in the picture, we didn't dare go public. But that didn't stop us from enjoying our time together. There were stolen hugs in the foyer, cuddling on the sofa during movies, and surprise kisses in the kitchen while making dinner. Every moment felt like it was bubbling with champagne. Isabel insisted on driving me to school every morning and picking me up every afternoon. It was, she said, an exclusive girlfriend perk. However, That very public perk soon landed us in trouble. Tiffany saw us. One afternoon, as Isabel was dropping me off at the campus gate, she leaned over and kissed me on the cheek. Tiffany and her friends happened to be standing nearby and saw the whole thing. The jealousy on her face was so twisted it was ugly. The next day, the university's online forum exploded. An anonymous post shot to the top of the hot list. Shocking. Computer science freshman Ethan Vance is a kept man. Picked up and dropped off daily by Sugar Mama in a Maserati. The post included several blurry, candid photos. One of me getting out of the Maserati. Another, a silhouette of Isabel kissing my cheek inside the car. The pictures were grainy, but they were enough to start a firestorm. Sugar baby, boy toy, kept man. The ugly words flew at me like daggers. Walking across campus, I could feel the stares and hear the whispers. What made me furious wasn't what they were saying about me, but how the rumors were slandering Isabel. She was such a proud, successful person. How can anyone dare call her some trashy woman who keeps a man? I stood there, phone in hand, shaking with rage, ready to go to war in the comment section. But Isabel took the phone from my hands and pushed me down onto the sofa. She wasn't angry at all. In fact, she looked amused. She tilted my chin up, studying my face. "Let me get a good look at this boy toy of mine," she said, a smile playing on her lips. "How much should your allowance be? Is $50,000 a month enough? Maybe we should draw up a contract, boyfriend?" I was so mad I had to laugh. "How can you be joking right now?" "What do you want me to do?" she asked, blinking innocently. "Cry." I found out what she meant by do the next day at lunch. At peak hour, when the cafeteria was packed, Isabel made her entrance. She was wearing a stunning, custom-tailored suit and carrying a chic lunchbox, her heels clicking on the linoleum floor. She commanded the attention of every student in the room as she walked straight to my table. She ignored all the stares, including those from Tiffany, who was sitting a few tables away, clearly waiting for a show. She reached my table, opened the lunchbox to reveal a delicious-looking four-course meal, then picked up a piece of pot roast with her chopsticks and held it to my lips. Her voice was just loud enough for the surrounding tables to hear, laced with affection and a clear note of pride. "Open up, sweetie. You need to eat more. Everyone's saying I'm your sugar mama." "I wish," she said with a dramatic sigh. "But what can I do? My boyfriend is so determined to make it on his own. He says he's going to be the one supporting me one day. My hands are tied." Her words, so cleverly crafted to both praise me and shut down the rumors, silenced the entire cafeteria. After a beat, the room erupted in good-natured laughter and envious sighs. "Oh my God, they are relationship goals. I'm so jealous. I want a gorgeous, successful girlfriend to feed me. Whoever started that rumor can go apologize now." I looked at Isabel, my heart filled with warmth, pride, and gratitude. She always had my back, and she always did it in the most direct, powerful way possible. Across the room, Tiffany's face had turned a shade of purple. She slammed her tray down and stormed out of the cafeteria, followed by the sound of laughter. As she fled, she muttered under her breath, "It's obvious his family has money. Why was he so cheap with me? I never would have left him. What an idiot." 8. Our sweet little world for two was soon shattered by an unexpected guest. My sister, Chloe, the ultimate helicopter sibling, was coming home. That afternoon, Isabel and I were curled up on the sofa, enjoying a rare, quiet weekend. Chloe's call came out of the blue. "Ethan, guess where I am?" Her voice was practically buzzing with excitement. "I just landed. I'll be home in 30 minutes. Surprise." Isabel and I locked eyes, a shared look of pure terror passing between us. 30 minutes. We shot up from the sofa like a pair of startled cats. A frantic, high-stakes battle stations drill commenced. "Quick, your toothbrush, towel, cup, hide them," Isabel ordered. "And my matching slippers. Get that throw pillow off the sofa and hide it." I sprinted to the bathroom to erase any evidence of our couple's sets, while Isabel frantically scoured the living room and bedroom, stashing away anything that screamed couple. We moved like spies on a mission, a whirlwind of panicked, exhilarating activity. The doorbell rang just as I shoved the last matching mug into the darkest corner of a kitchen cabinet. Panting, Isabel and I quickly straightened each other's clothes and hair. I took a deep breath and opened the door. A figure immediately launched herself at me, wrapping me in a bone-crushing hug. My baby brother. I missed you so much. Chloe clung to me like a koala, squishing my cheeks with her hands. She completely ignored her best friend, Isabel, who was standing nearby, pretending to calmly sip a glass of water. Let me look at you. Have you lost weight? Got not done. Has Izzy been bullying you? I could barely breathe. Chloe, can't breathe. Isabel watched from the side, slowly drinking her water, but her eyes were turning colder by the second. For the rest of the evening, Chloe was glued to my side. She fed me snacks, pinched my cheeks, and constantly asserted her ownership over her little brother. Isabel watched in silence, her expression growing stormier. She stood up to get a glass of water from the kitchen, and on her way back, she accidentally tripped. The entire glass of water went flying, soaking the front of Chloe's shirt. Oops, sorry, Chloe. My hand slipped, Isabel said, offering a napkin with a voice that held zero apology. Forced to let go of me, Chloe went to change, looking annoyed. The moment she was gone, Isabel sat down next to me and pinched my side hard. Ow! I protested quietly. She shot me a glare and mouthed the words. You deserved it. Later, the three of us were on the sofa watching a movie. Chloe deliberately squeezed in between us, effectively creating a wall. I reached for an apple on the coffee table. At the exact same moment, so did Isabel. Our hands brushed in midair. We both pulled back as if we'd been shocked. None of this escaped Chloe's notice. She eyed me. Then Isabel, her gaze filled with suspicion. Late that night, my bedroom door creaked open. I thought it was Isabel. Instead, I heard my sister's hushed whisper. Ethan, you asleep? I snapped my eyes shut, feigning sleep. Chloe listened at my door for a while. Then, apparently satisfied, she turned to leave. Just as she did, the door across the hall opened. Isabel, dressed in a sexy silk nightgown, was about to sneak into my room. The two of them came face to face in the hallway. One was returning from spying on her brother. The other was on her way to steal him. Their eyes met. The air froze. 9. The next morning, I was in the kitchen, making Isabel a heart-shaped fried egg. A pair of soft arms wrapped around my waist from behind. Isabel rested her chin on my shoulder, purring like a contented cat. Good morning, Ethan. I smiled and turned my head to kiss her cheek. Morning, Izzy. The morning sun streamed in, painting a perfect, peaceful picture. A picture that was promptly shattered by a blood-curdling scream. What are you two doing? Isabel and I whipped around. Chloe was standing in the kitchen doorway, bleary-eyed, a glass of water in her hand. The moment she registered the sight of us wrapped in an embrace, the glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. A second later, a roar that could have shaken the foundation of the house echoed through the halls. Isabel, Rossi, my sister charged forward like an enraged lioness. She grabbed Isabel by one arm and me by the ear, dragging us like criminals to the living room sofa. A dramatic, three-person interrogation began. Spill it. How long has this been going on? Chloe stood with her hands on her hips, pacing back and forth in front of us, her face pale with fury. She pointed an accusing finger at Isabel. You predator. I trusted you as my best friend, and you go after my brother? I asked you to look after him, not get him into your bed. Isabel rubbed her reddened ear and muttered under her breath. We haven't gotten to the bed part yet. That only made Chloe angrier. She turned her fury on me. And you ungrateful brat. How old are you? Have you forgotten who changed your diapers? Who helped you with your homework? You're already turning on your own family. She pointed at Isabel, her voice filled with despair. She's 6 years older than you. 6 years. You could practically call her your aunt. I shrank under her tirade, unable to look at her. But Isabel wasn't having it. Hey, watch your mouth, Chloe. Who are you calling an aunt? I'm only 25. So what if you're 25? Does that give you the right to hit on my brother? The two of them were about to start a full-blown fight. I quickly stood up and got between them. Chloe, don't blame Izzy. It was me. I like her first. I looked my sister in the eye and summoned all my courage. I'm serious about this. As soon as the words left my mouth, Isabel stood up beside me, a united front. She looked at Chloe, her gaze firm. Chloe, I'm serious too. We glanced at each other, and then, in perfect, unrehearsed unison, we both said to Chloe, We're for real. This synchronized act of rebellion seemed to stun the furious Chloe into silence. She stared at us, then at our tightly clasped hands, her lips trembling with rage. Finally, she collapsed onto the sofa, pointing at us, speechless. You too. She clutched her chest, looking like she was about to have a heart attack. Chloe did not, in fact, have a heart attack. Once she recovered, she announced a decision that made both of our hearts sink. You want me to approve of this? Phoenix. She crossed her legs, her arms folded, an expression on her face that said, let's see you get through this. You have to pass my 3 trials of love. Isabel and I exchanged a look of weary resignation. Trial number 1, the compatibility quiz. Chloe cleared her throat, her face dead serious. First question, what is Ethan's least favorite vegetable? She looked at Isabel smugly, completely confident she wouldn't know. After all, even some of my childhood friends didn't know the answer. But Isabel and I just shared a knowing smile and answered in unison. Bitter melon and cilantro. The smug look on Chloe's face evaporated. How did you know that? She asked, incredulous. As his own sister, she only knew about the cilantro. Isabel raised an eyebrow. Every time we eat, he meticulously picks those 2 things out. You just have to pay attention. Chloe was speechless. Trial number 2, video games. Chloe forced me on her team for a 2v1 match against Isabel. Gaming reveals a person's true character, she declared. Let's see whose side you're really on, little brother. As it turned out, I was a terrible actor. Or rather, a great one. I spent the entire game intentionally feeding kills to Isabel. I flashed into walls. I fired my ultimate ability in the wrong direction. Chloe slammed her fists on the keyboard in frustration. Ethan, are you an idiot? What are you doing? The game ended with our team suffering a humiliating defeat. I took off my headset and said calmly, there's no shame in losing to your girlfriend. Chloe looked like she was about to smash the monitor. Trial number 3, the caretaking challenge. At dinner, Chloe kept piling food onto my plate until it looked like a small mountain. Eat more ribs. You need your strength, she said, giving me the largest piece. Isabel said nothing. She simply picked up the rib and, using a fork and knife, expertly removed all the meat from the bone before placing the boneless piece back in my bowl. Not to be outdone, Chloe poured me a huge glass of ice soda. It's hot. This will cool you down. Again, Isabel silently swapped the soda for a glass of lukewarm water. He has a sensitive stomach. He can't have too much ice. After a few more rounds of this, Chloe was losing badly, her face turning green with frustration. Finally, she played her trump card. She grabbed my phone and dialed our parents. Hello, Mom. You will not believe what Ethan is. She was about to tattle, but the moment the call connected, Isabel snatched the phone with lightning speed. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Vance. It's Isabel, Ethan's friend. Her voice instantly became warm and respectful, a complete 180 from the woman who had been battling Chloe just moments before. Ethan has been doing so well lately. He's studying hard and taking great care of himself. I was just thinking about you both. Yes, he's been eating well, don't you worry. On the other end of the line, my mom was completely charmed, laughing and singing the praises of this Isabel she had never met. Before hanging up, my mom had a special instruction for Chloe. Chloe, honey, stop bullying your little brother all the time. You should learn from his friend. She's so thoughtful. You'll never find a husband if you keep this up. Chloe was stunned into silence. After she hung up, she just stood there petrified. She looked at the composed Isabel, then at me looking at Isabel with pure admiration, and finally, all the fight went out of her. She sighed heavily and collapsed onto the sofa. I lose. 11 just as Chloe was about to wave the white flag of surrender, my mom called again. This time it was for her. Chloe answered, her voice listless. Hey, Mom. My mom's voice was practically vibrating with excitement. Chloe, that friend of Ethan's you mentioned. Isabel, was it? She sounds like such a wonderful girl. I bet she's beautiful, too. So, your father and I were talking, and we decided we're going to come visit next weekend. We want to thank her in person for taking such good care of Ethan. Chloe's brain shut down. She was floored. All she wanted to do was complain, and somehow she'd fast-forwarded the plot to the Meet the Parents episode. No, Mom, wait. Let me explain. Explain what? My mom cut her off. I can tell from her voice, that girl is interested in Ethan. As his older sister, you need to help things along. Your father and I have already prepared the red envelope for our future daughter-in-law. And with that, my mom cheerfully hung up. Chloe stood in the living room, clutching her phone, completely dumbfounded. The situation had spiraled far beyond her control. Isabel emerged from the kitchen with a bowl of fruit and saw her dazed expression. What's wrong? What did your mom say now? Chloe looked up at Isabel, her expression a complex mix of emotions. My parents are coming next weekend. They said they want to meet their future daughter-in-law. Isabel blinked, then a slow smile spread across her face. Far from being nervous, she actually looked excited. They're coming? That's wonderful. I'll need to prepare some gifts. I can't make a bad first impression. Seeing Isabel so calm, collected, and even eager, Chloe finally gave up. She sank into the sofa and let out a long, dramatic sigh. What did I do to deserve this? The precious baby brother I raised for almost 20 years, snatched away by a cunning fox like you. Isabel sat down next to her, slinging an arm around her shoulders with a grin. It's not snatching. It's keeping in the family. Think about it. We'll still be one big, happy family. You'll be my sister-in-law. It's perfect. Chloe rolled her eyes, but the tension in her face had eased. She was quiet for a moment, then leaned in close, lowering her voice like a spy sharing state secrets. Okay, listen up. My mom loves people who are sweet talkers and obedient. My dad likes anyone who can play chess, especially a good game of chess. You better start practicing. Don't you dare embarrass me. Watching my sister instantly switch roles from adversary to accomplice, Isabel and I couldn't help but laugh. 12 Valentine's Day arrived quickly. That morning, Chloe got an urgent call from work and had to leave early. The house was finally just me and Isabel again. We decided to properly celebrate our first Valentine's Day together. I went to the store and bought steaks and a nice bottle of red wine, planning to cook her a romantic candlelit dinner. That evening, I was busy in the kitchen. The steaks were sizzling in the pan, filling the air with a delicious aroma. Isabel came up behind me, wrapping her arms around my waist and resting her cheek against my back. Thank you for all your hard work, chef. I smiled, turning to steal a quick kiss. Anything for my queen. The air was thick with romance. And that's when the doorbell rang, shattering the mood. Confused, I went to get the door. Standing on the porch was Chloe, holding a huge bag of snacks and grinning from ear to ear. Surprise. I was worried my poor little brother would be lonely on Valentine's Day. So, I left work early to come keep you company. She completely ignored the scented candles and soft music, rushing past me to give me another one of her signature bone-crushing hugs. My darling brother, did you miss me? I stumbled backward, half amused, half exasperated. A cool voice drifted from the kitchen. Isabel wiped her hands on a towel and walked out. She gracefully but firmly extracted me from Chloe's clutches. Then, in a clear display of ownership, she linked her arm through mine, raised an eyebrow at Chloe, and smiled. Chloe, thank you for being so considerate and giving us our space. But Ethan is my boyfriend now, so there's a strict no-touching policy. It makes me jealous. Chloe stared for a moment before it sank in. She pointed at us, practically hopping with indignation. You, Isabel Rossi. So this is the thanks I get? It's only been a few days, and he's already your property? You're already drawing lines in the sand with me. I saw another argument brewing and weakly interjected. Chloe, I don't mind. I was immediately silenced by a pair of identical glares. Quiet. This is an adult conversation. Me. In the end, our romantic dinner for two became a family dinner for three. At the table, Chloe complained that Isabel's steak was overcooked while simultaneously fighting her for the last piece. Isabel shot back that Chloe's choice of wine was terrible. They bickered and bantered back and forth all night. Watching them, I suddenly realized this was nice too. Amid all the teasing and arguing, all three of us were smiling. Chloe raised her wine glass, clearing her throat theatrically. All right, Fine. For my brother's sake, I'll let you off the hook this time. She sighed, feigning reluctance. Better to keep in the family, I guess. But you listen to me, Isabel Rossi. From now on, when I need to borrow my brother for assistance, you will return him to me, freshly washed and in good condition. Isabel raised her glass, to meet Chloe's. Don't worry, sis.